Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We're taking the LR Great Ape Vegeta into ESBR, giant form only ESBR. To be fair, I didn't really have much choice when it came to what ESBR stages to do. I literally had 3, and I'm pretty sure Extreme Tech, probably a little bit old to be taking a 2020 unit or 2022 unit into. And then that leaves me with Pure Saiyans, which he doesn't link very well with units. I mean, we already know his link set isn't the best, so not really anyone to run him with. And then the other one we had is Giant Form, who I can run with Raditz, who he doesn't link too badly with. And that Great Ape Raditz EZA isn't too bad. So this was kind of the best case scenario for us. We actually do have a Goku enemy. Funny enough, actually a Kaioken Goku enemy. So that means when Jeet comes around, he's going to be having the Ki +3 and attack plus 30% on top, which means going to be doing extra damage, which is very nice. You know, especially with his 18 key AoE, which is one of the major reasons why he should be very good in Super Battle Road. Not only does he have guard, kind of wonky, you know, that wonky guard he has, but or not the guard, but wonky defensively. But having the guard and having AoE and doing this like what 5-6 million attacks that we know he can do, that's going to be very good. I said that's one of the major reasons why he's going to be very good in a Super Battle Road environment. It is just a shame about how his wonky defense sets up. You know, in an event where you're facing at least 2 or more enemies at all times, and at some points potentially you're facing, 4 or 5 enemies. The amount of times you could be taking attacks in slot 1, like literally on this turn, like we're taking, I know it doesn't matter because we're in the Great Ape form, but we literally have 3 attacks before we do anything. Obviously right now it doesn't matter because we're in the Great Ape form, we're taking no damage. But if Great Ape Vegeta was in slot 1, yes, he would still tank all 3 of those attacks, regardless if they were basics or supers, a lot better than any other unit or majority of units in the game who don't. Oh, he actually stunned. Nice. You know, better than majority of units that don't have damage reduction or guard, who you don't want to be putting in slot 1. He will definitely tank them a lot better. Yes, 100%. But when you think about the type of unit he is and why you'd be bringing him, which is to put him in slot 1 and guard, typically you want those units, you put them there because they'll be tanking for a lot, and you won't be taking that much damage. I mean, to be fair, we're only getting hit once because of course Piccolo's stunned. We can leave Goku there for now. Yeah, we'll leave Goku there for now, and we'll actually attack the Kaioken Goku. We're gonna get hit first, so it kind of, I mean, we're gonna get our 18 key anyway. It kind of doesn't matter, because we're going to get that extra Ki +3 for getting our guard active, because we are getting hit first. I'll give you these. Unfortunately, no easy ATP on friend, as I said, so we're just going to kind of have to roll with it the way it's going. You're like 30k on a basic. You don't expect a unit with guard to take 50k from a basic. And this is why his passive being so wonky just kind of hurts him. As I said, he's still going to tank a lot better than the majority of units in the game that don't have guard or damage reduction. Fact. Obviously. But it makes him less safe as a slot 1 unit than what he should be. Now, of course, once he super attacks, he gets the attack and defense plus 60% from supering, which is multiplicative, which is why he can do 5-6 million attack stats, because it jumps up. His defense will be in a good spot. He gets additional defense plus, what, 60% or something like that? Is it 60%? I think it's 60. Is it 30? No, 60% if it's an ultra super attack, which shouldn't be too difficult to do, especially when you're guarding. You're going to get Ki +3 as well. You know, if you're facing a Goku enemy, that's an extra Ki +3 as well on top of that. But, you know, once he supers and then he gets hit, you know, especially if he gets hit by a super, he's tanking that for next to nothing. Double digits on basics easily. You know, he's doing really well. You know, he's tanking and how you want him to. He's soaking up all the damage. It's great. But before that, yes, he's tanking a lot better than a lot of other units in the game because he has guard. But he's not tanking anywhere near as good as he should be, which is why it's still such a baffling design choice from Dokkan to give him all that defense after he supers, when you're going to be putting him in slot 1 where he's kind of made to go because of the guard. Because he has guard, he defends in slot 1 a lot better than the majority of units in the game. But that wonky design choice when it comes to his defense after he supers, it just doesn't add up. It's like 2 + 2 makes 5 rather than 4. Like, it just is kind of a weird choice. And it actually baffles me as to why they decided to do it this way. Like, it just doesn't really make sense. Like, as I said already, yes, he'll be tanking a lot better than majority of units in slot 1 because of the guard. But if he gets supered, rather than tanking it for next to nothing like you kind of want him to or can do after he supers, you're going to be taking it for about probably like over 100k, which in ESBR with the amount of health we have probably won't, you know, if he gets supered, it's a lot better than any other unit getting supered, yes, apart from maybe like Tapion on this team. But is it better than he takes that super even before he supered than other units? Yes, 100%. But he's taking that for over 100k, where of course after he supers he's going to be tanking it for like 40k or less, which is great. You know, it helps you, you know, soak up all the damage, conserve your items, you know, not have to worry about where your health is, which, as I said, helps you conserve items. It makes the run a bit easier. It's just such a weird and flawed design choice to give him all of his defense after he supers when you kind of need it with the guard in slot 1 where you're going to be putting him to take all those attacks before he supers. You know, you want, I mean, ideally you would want all the attacks to come in slot 1 but after he supers. And obviously that's just not going to happen. So it really hurts him. It's not, you know, it's not terrible. He's not a terrible unit. It's not a bad unit. He's still good. He's still quite a good and solid unit. Is he like top 10 LR in the game? Definitely not. Kaioken Goku 100% is, but is he like top 10 LR in the game? No. Because of that, no. You know, the damage he can do on an AoE, like 5-6 million attack stat linked up, you know, fairly well, is very handy, as I said, in Super Battle Road, where there's multiple enemies and you're hitting all of them for 5-6 mil attack stats. That's good. That's handy. Why they didn't give him a stun, I still don't know, because that would be such a useful tool to have in ESBR. Like, it just would. It would be so useful to have right here. You know, we've seen it with units like, oh, my absolute SBR GOAT, the Super Saiyan AGL Go tanks. But forget the additionals and stuff. Hits an AoE, my guy could potentially stun the majority of the units that are there, if not potentially all of them. Or one of them, if you're unlucky, but could potentially stun the majority of the enemies. I don't know why they decided to not give him an SA effect on the AoE. Maybe they just kind of, I mean, we've kind of seen it. It's kind of like they overvalue AoE units a little too much. Like, maybe that's what it is, but if they put a stun on his AoE, I mean, he's good in Super Battle Road anyway. With the stun, it would have been so much better. And it actually would have helped him out a little bit. Because obviously he doesn't have the guard, if you stun next turn, that means you're kind of safe next turn on units that might not be so defensively solid. You know, you might not need to use an item that you was originally going to use. You can save it for later. It would help out in the long run. But for some reason they decided to give him no SA effect on the 18 with the AoE, and I don't know, it's Dokkan seems to overvalue AoE units a little too much. And I don't know how I didn't notice this, but we're actually facing another Goku enemy, which means additional ki +3 and attack +60%. Now I finally have the rotations. We do still have the Icarus set up, which means even with only 92k defense and guard, he's going to be having some damage reduction, which means he's going to tank this fairly well before he even supers. But then Cumber at the end is going to be taking a plethora of damage, and there's one type advantage attack, so I am actually going to heal. Which means we've got even more defense. Now, if he had like over 100, if he had something like this at the start of turn with guard, and then got extra defense when performing a super attack, or the attacking defense +60% performing a super attack, that would work so much better. Just giving him a little extra something at the start of turn. But I'm going to do this. I mean, you're going to get the 18 anyway, but we'll get ki +3 because our guard will be active. But that's a few more orbs we can give to Raditz. But giving him something a bit extra at the start of turn would have worked so much better. Like, just having just like 120 or like 130k defense like he has now because of the ATA would have worked so much better than what he has now. How much damage are you going to do on the AoE? 2.7. I mean, that type of voyage, but still 1.8 million, like, and big 2.9 mil crit. But having that much damage output, see, this is ideal. I mean, we do have a bunch of items set up, but like, if we had no items set up, after he super attacks, we get supered, guard is active, we've got all the defensive bonus because we supered. That's fine, that's perfect. That's how you want him, because he's defensively is at his pinnacle, he's got the guard active, he would have soaked that super attack up for like 40k, 50k tops. If that was in slot 1 before we supered and we had no item active, we would have been taken along the lines of probably like over 100k, which in the grand scheme of things, not too bad. You would have survived the turn, he still wouldn't have got you killed. But here's where the but comes in. Now, typically we like buts, you know, we all like bundas, but, okay, but that's a lot of damage to be taken on a unit that has guard. Like, it just is. That's a lot of damage to be taken on a unit that has guard. And that's just why so many people, including myself, think the design choice for him to do that is so wonky. He still tanks relatively well and better than other units in the game, yes. But when it comes to like harder events like Red Zone, could you imagine how much damage he's going to take against, like, I don't know, one of the latter stages, like a Bojack, a Broly, a Shenron. You know, I mean, he has type disadvantage against Shenron, but like, you know, still one of the latter stages, like Broly would have type advantage against, but Broly does over 1 mil damage on a super. Could you imagine how much damage he would still take at the start of turn if Broly was attacking where that Vegeta is attacking now, like one attack before we do anything, even with type advantage? Could you imagine how much damage? Could you imagine how much damage Vegeta would take because he has none of his defensive buffs and just guard to rely on with 100% attacking defense at the start of turn? So he just took 12k. Like, I know that's not that much and that's a lot less than a lot of other units without guard will be taking in ESBR, but 12k. A lot of units who have guard and actually have some defense at the start of turn take double digits immediately from that. Like, literally like 2k at the most. And, you know, he can get away with it here, sure. I mean, if there was multiple attacks before that, instead of just Vegeta, and we got supered like 2-3 times if there was like 5 enemies, we would have took relatively quite a bit of damage. Again, we would have tanked a lot better than other units in the game, but that still would have been a lot of damage to be taken, which obviously you don't want. And then if you took that all in Red Zone, could you imagine if I was going to call him Broly. Could you imagine if Broly super attacks Great Ape Vegeta in slot 1 before you supered, and all he has is just 100% attacking defense and guard? That's a lot of damage to still be taken. Now, of course, if he super attacks and then Broly super attacks him, cool. Type advantage, guard, all the defense he needs. He's good. But that's still crazy because he'll still be taking a lot of damage for a unit that has guard. And, you know, a unit that you want to be running in slot 1 because he has guard. He's built to be running slot 1, but I don't know. I generally do not know what Dokkan were thinking with that. Like, he's still a solid unit, but nowhere near as good as he should be because of that one design choice, that one design flaw. But, I mean, he's doing very well in Super Battle Road, like I knew he would right now. And we're facing, I did not know there was this many Goku enemies in this stage. Like, I didn't know what the enemies are regardless, but I did not know there was 3 Goku enemies in each fight in Giant Form ESBR. I mean, that works out well for us, because he's always going to have the Ki +3 and attack +60%, which means he's going to be doing extra damage on an AoE. That means we get through it a bit quicker, because we don't really have the best damage dealers on this team. And Great Ape Vegeta, funny enough, while being one of the best defensively, even though he's quite wonky, is one of the best offensively right now. I did not realize there was this many Goku enemies. I did not know there was this many. But that just, as I said, that just works in his favor, basically, and we're getting that extra Ki +3 at all times as well. But yeah, there's so much wrong, or not wrong. There's so many downsides to this Great Ape Vegeta unit that I think a lot of the time, and especially what I've been doing since using him, I kind of overlook how good he can be. Like, as I said, because he has the guard, he still tanks a lot better than other units, even without all the defense. If you don't get supered in slot 1 or take minimal amounts of supers, especially in ESBR where there's multiple enemies and multiple attacks that can super you, you know, fantastic, but that's RNG reliant. You know, it's very reliant on RNG. But I mean, if that does happen, and then the majority, like, you have that many attacks, like, look how many attacks we're taking after Raditz super attacks in slot 1. Like, if you have a time when you have that, and you can super, he's going to tank really well. He's going to do the job he's made to do. He's going to, as I've already said, he's going to be doing decent damage on an AoE in Super Battle Road, which is like 4 or 5 mil attack stacks, maybe even 6. Against multiple enemies, you may even hit a crit where he's doing over like 2 million on a crit, almost 3. He's good for that. He's still tanking quite well. As I said, he's very good at tanking, obviously, after he supers and the guard. But then his link set just isn't the best. So, like, what teams are you bringing him on? Like, he goes on some good categories. He's very good on the categories that aren't that great. You know, Inhuman Deeds also doesn't currently have a 170 lead. There's Giant Form he's good on. But, like, some of the better categories that he goes on, like, if we quickly whack his categories out right now. I don't know why I use the word whack. That's very aggressive. But, you know, Inhuman Deeds. Partially Giant 8 power. I mean, a lot of them are Super Saiyan 4 units, but you could squeeze them on there maybe. You know, Dragon Ball Seekers. Potentially, that's not a great category. You know, Giant Form. Saiyan Saga. He would easily make it on those categories second to none. But he's on some better categories. Pure Saiyans, Vegeta's Family, Space Traveling Warriors, Terrifying Conquerors, which he will have another 200% lead when Raditz drops. You know, Battle of Fate, Final Trump Card. Those are some great categories he goes on. But who does he get on there ahead of? Especially with a link set like this where you're not going to be getting overnight. Like, because you're not, realistically, you're not taking LR Vegeta and Nappa. They're just not good enough. Who is he replacing? Who is he getting on the team ahead of, realistically? And who are you going to link him with if you decide to take him? Even if you force him on the team, who are you taking? But you're definitely not going to squeeze Great Ape Raditz on there over units like transforming SSJ2 to SSJ3 Goku. You know, Year 7 LRs. You know, UI. There's so many better units. You're not going to be replacing anyone with Great Ape Vegeta on there. Or taking an extra unit so he actually links well. So the link set really lets him down. The wonkiness of his passive hurts him a little bit in the long run. It doesn't make him bad. It doesn't ruin him or anything. But as I said, it definitely does let him down, unfortunately. And that's just kind of the way it is. I think I'm going to use an item here. Yeah, I'm going to use a Whis, because that's a lot of attacks for Great Ape Goku to be taken at the end. Like, the passive doesn't make him bad. The link set isn't great. Like, he's still a solid unit, but because of the way he's built, there's so much potential there. Like, if he just had a different link compared to, like, he kind of has to have transform. But, like, if there was just a different link there instead of over 9,000, like, as I said in the showcase, that's past the over 9,000 bit. Like, I get why it's there, but you could actually replace, I mean, Dokkan could give him any link set they want. But you could actually get rid of over 9,000 and it actually kind of makes sense in a kind of, you know, oh, we actually, yeah, I mean, that's one of the major reasons why he's so good in SBR. Dokkan attack, AoE, he's done 7.6 million damage and he's ended up killing everyone almost in one shot. So, like, but you can see the potential there in his passive of how good he could and probably should have been. But just because of some design choices and his link set, he's not making it over on some of the better categories he goes on. He's not making it ahead of any of those units. And then he easily slots on the, obviously, a lot worse categories. And then, yeah, even in his design, he's a little bit flawed. But he's still a solid unit and he done really well in Super Battle Road. He's just not as good as he should be, I think is a fair assessment to say. But he done really good in the SBR, especially on that Dokkan attack. But let me know what you think of Jeets. I'll see you next video, guys, and